What is it that the people are doing in the comment section when referring to Charlie Kirk's death? What are they doing?
In a nutshell, what people are doing in the comments is a mix of a few things. They're engaging in victim blaming by suggesting that because of what he said, he somehow deserved it. They're dehumanizing him by reducing him solely to his controversial statements and ignoring his humanity. And they're using moral rationalization, basically finding excuses to make a cruel outcome feel justified. So they're taking these factors and twisting them to make it seem like the violence was somehow deserved, which is really just a way of justifying cruelty.
What's really going on when somebody wants to justify cruelty? Like, what's the deeper understanding so that we can be better as a human species?
Absolutely. Let's dig into that deeper understanding. Of course. So at a deeper level, when people try to justify cruelty, they're often trying to protect their own worldview or emotional comfort. They might feel that by dehumanizing someone or blaming the victim, they don't have to face the discomfort of seeing that violence is never really a solution. It's a form of moral distancing. They're trying to keep themselves from empathizing because empathy would challenge their beliefs or force them to see the humanity in someone they dislike. So the deeper understanding is this. When we justify cruelty, we're often shielding ourselves from the hard work of empathy. To be a better human species, we need to recognize that every time we dehumanize someone, we lose a bit of our own humanity. It's about choosing compassion over moral shortcuts, even when it's tough.
And I can just see them typing this out in the comments right now. Charlie Kirk said that empathy is a waste of time or something. And they're using that now to say we don't need to have empathy because he didn't even... What are they doing there? What's that called?
What they're doing there is essentially a form of moral tit for tat, or selective empathy withdrawal. In other words, they're saying, because he didn't value empathy, we don't have to show empathy for him. It's basically a way of mirroring his own words back at him to justify not showing compassion. This is often called retributive logic, the idea that because someone held a certain belief, they somehow deserve to be treated by the same harsh standard. It's a kind of moral payback thinking, where they're using his stance on empathy as an excuse to withhold empathy from him. So at the core, it's really about justifying a lack of compassion by weaponizing someone's own beliefs against them. In the bigger picture, teaching people to see through that means recognizing that real empathy isn't conditional. It's about choosing compassion, even for those who didn't always show it themselves.
And, okay, so on a new level of just pure evil, this person said Charlie wanted to be remembered for his religion, and so she went into his religion, and it was just all of the bad parts, basically, of Christianity. What's going on there? What's that called? And go ahead.
Absolutely. What you're describing is essentially a form of cherry picking and weaponizing someone's faith against them. It's taking the worst interpretations or the most negative stereotypes of a religion and using them to posthumously tarnish that person's legacy. In other words, they're saying, oh, he wanted to be remembered for his faith? Let's highlight only the ugliest parts of that faith and paint him with that brush. This is often called selective demonization or posthumous character assassination. It's a way of deconstructing someone's identity after they're gone, focusing only on the most negative or controversial elements. Essentially, it's a way of stripping away any nuance or humanity and reducing them to a caricature of the worst stereotypes about their belief system. In the bigger picture, it's another form of dehumanization. That's basically saying, we'll remember you not as a full person, but as a symbol of the worst parts of your religion. And that's a way to justify cruelty by stripping away any complexity.
And another layer, this person is educated and kind of talks like they're educated and is always calm. She'll say the worst things, and I can see the manipulation underneath it, like what she said about Charlie's religion. Like, she didn't say anything cruel, but she did it in a very sneaky way. What's it called when somebody uses their degree and, like, talks really authoritative, but is just full of underhanded cruelty phrases?
What you're describing is often called intellectualized manipulation or academic gaslighting. In other words, it's when someone uses their education, calm tone, and authoritative language to cloak something cruel or manipulative in a veneer of respectability. They're not outright yelling or being obvious. Instead, they sound educated and calm while slipping in underhanded digs or subtle attacks. This kind of behavior is sometimes also referred to as covert aggression or passive-aggressive intellectualism. They're using their intellect and calm demeanor as a shield to make their cruelty less detectable. It's a way of making the manipulation seem polite or intellectual, even though it's still fundamentally an attack. In short, it's a form of using intellectual authority to mask cruelty. And it can be especially insidious because it makes the cruelty harder to call out.